Hello YouTube, I'm Harrison Waltz. Welcome to my channel, Dark Vanguard Rens. This is my deck profile for granblue. The reason it's live is, well, because I don't really feel like recording all that much, and then uploading it, that's just a pain in the ass. I might as well just upload it straight to my channel. Yeah, so, before my channel, I've done, or at least tried to, do, a gameplay for, Skyrim Special Edition, all of the, DLCs and that, and I made, I think, like 3 to 4 episodes. If anyone actually joins and watches this and sees this, let me know if you want me to continue doing let's plays, if you want me to do games, the games that I have. I might do a Diablo 3 run if I feel like it, but I'm not 100% on that. But yeah, without further ado, let's go on to the profile. First up is Undying Departed Grenache is my starter. He's a forerunner, and when he has a hollow ability, and when he hollows at the end of the turn, when he dies, he inflicts 2 damage. A majority of Night Rose players, and well, any granblue player will tell you that this is this is a really good starter to start with. Even I'm telling you that. So yeah, sorry about the hair. Sorry about my hair. It tends to stick up on its own. Yeah, okay. Next up, this may seem a bit strange, but I run 3 Hades Steermen. The reason for that is because I haven't found any stand triggers that I like, and the one I really did like, which will be the next one I'm actually showing, is Mick the Ghosty and the Family. This card got hit to 1. The reason is because when it's called from the drop, Hades Steermaster, when it's called from Superior calls it whenever you write a grade 3 into the Vanguard Circle. The other reason he's in there is because this thing is at 1. I prefer this to be at 2 because, well, hollow ability obviously, and when it's placed from the drop zone to the rear guard, it gives 10,000 power to any of my units, and at the end of the turn, it shuffles back into the deck. So, yeah, broken plays. They could nerf the ability, to be honest. Yeah, I only run 4 stand. Next up is Rough Seas Banshee. My crit trigger that also acts like a draw card. Pretty much call it to rearguard circle, send it to soul, and draw a card. I only run 8 crit. Next up is Jimmy the Ghosty, just a standard crit trigger. So far, the final card, obviously a heal trigger, is Good Luck Charm Banshee. Just your standard trigger. If you have any better suggestions for stand triggers, or what trigger I should use next, I would appreciate it. Next up are my grade 1s. Sorry, I'm doing this at 3:30 in the morning, so I'm not all that prepared, to be honest. I really should have been more prepared. But going on, I run 2 copies of Jackie the Ghosty. I'm just going to turn them on this way so I can read the effect. Obviously, the Hollow ability. His Generation 1 break ability, whenever he attacks the Vanguard, gains 2,000 attack power. The Hollow ability, which is whenever he's hollowed, gives him 2,000 attack power, and he can intercept. I'll get to why that's a useful skill momentarily, or when I get to my Great Force. So please do bear with me. Next up, I run 3 copies of Witch Doctor of Powder Bone, Negro Bone. Generation Break 1. Counterblast at the end of a battle that this thing boosted any of my rear guards. Counterblast 1, send that rear guard to the drop zone, and Superior Call another one. Does it have to have the Hollow ability? Yeah, with Hollow ability. So you can't just call, say, Thanos to rear guard. They have to have the Hollow ability, which a majority of his deck, yeah, Hollow abilities. Next up, which if you're running a Night Rose deck, is a standard after if you're running any kind of stride, is Tommy the Ghosty Brothers, and 4 copies. For one thing, it's your Night Rose search. That's when you call a rear guard, you reveal the grade 3 and search your deck for a Night Rose. If you're running a Night Rose deck, standard 4. Its other ability, which is its hand ability, by discarding it, it counts as a grade 3. So this is your stride cost. If you don't have a grade 3 in hand, of course. And finally are my Sentinels, or my Perfect Guards. Now, this is a bit weird for my Perfect Guards. I run 2 Seawall Banshee. 3 Seawall Banshee. Sentinel, Hollow ability. The auto ability, which is basically the standard, you discard a card and she stops any attack. Her Generation 2 ability, which is a Soul Blast of 1. Choose a card from your hand, discard it. Yeah, that's... choose another Seawolf Banshee from drop zone. Put it to the bottom of deck, and when this card is hollowed, is retired, and you have a Night Rose Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, return this card to hand. So, in other words, its other effect I have never gotten off, ever. But the card I want to run 4 of, because, well, this card helps with countercharging your counterblast, is Water Spout Jin. Sentinel ability is standard. The second half of his ability, though, states that if there's a second copy of him in this drop zone, after he's done guarding, I get to take a damage. Let's say damage. I get to take a damage and do this. Just our counter charge. I would like more of him because I rarely use this thing's ability to get back in hand, so I would prefer a Jin, but eventually. Next up is grade 2s. Now, my grade 2 setup is a bit how should I put that? Bizarre. Well, first off, I run 2 King Serpent. When this thing is called from drop zone, you get the soul charge and counter charge. That is the only reason this thing is in here, and I only run 2 because that's all I need. Next up is 2 Witch Doctor of the Rotten Sea Negro Rook. Now, it has the standard hollow ability for anything for the Night Rose. When it's called from drop zone, actually when it's just placed on its generation brick one when it's hollowed, well, the first part of its effect gives it 2,000 power. The second part, which is the hollow ability, or which is part of the hollow ability, is that if it was hollowed, it gains an extra 5. So in other words, it's gaining an extra 7. So when it attacks, it'll be hitting for 16. Yeah. So pair that with the GB8, you're coming in for 26,000 without boost and without any triggers. So yeah, 2 copies of him. Next up is 2 copies of Witch Doctor of Lounger Negro Lazy. The part of that name that I said, I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, but do forget that. Let's see. Obviously, the hollow ability. GB1 ability. Second auto ability is a GB1. Counter blast 1, soul blast 1. When this unit is placed on rear guard, and if you have a Night Rose Vanguard, you need to pay the cost. Choose 1 grade 2 or less, not named Negro Lazy. Call it from drop zone to any rear guard circle. It doesn't have to be open or anything. Then, until the end of that turn, this unit gains 2,000 power plus the auto ability when it dies due to its own hollow effect. Counter charge 1 and soul charge 1. Useful ability, especially if you want to do some really powerful plays. None of the cards that it calls have to have hollow ability. Next up is Pirate Swordsman Columbard. Generation Break 1 ability. Basically, when he hits, I get the superior quality unit from drop zone. Yeah. Yeah, he has to hit a Vanguard in order for his effect to go off. I'm testing to see if I like him. I actually forget what I was using before. Yeah, I don't remember what I was using before. But on to my final card, which I run 4 copies of, which is Skeleton Cannoneer. This guy has a hollow ability. When he's called from the drop zone to a rearguard circle, basically Blaster Blade, but with a draw effect if he's hollowed. Blaster Blade, any of the Blaster Blades, and the Blaster Darks. Or any card that has a retire ability plus draw ability. That's when he's hollowed. So I run that on 4 of him. That's it for the grade 2s. If you have any suggestions for those of you who actually play Vanguard or have any interest in this game, nothing. I will be getting the both of the new structure decks that come out will be at my local shop, CG Realm, on January 8th, I hope. I may do a deck profile on that, just the standard, just the deck itself, and so yeah, I'll be doing that. Alright, on to my grade 3s. I'm testing to see if this is workable. The 2 cards I ran before were a Thanos and a Baskirk. The first thing is Dragon Undead Malefic Dragon. Ability: when this unit, if he's on Vanguard, he basically, and if my opponent's Vanguard is 12,000 or greater, he becomes a 20k attacker. In rearguard, he gains an extra 2,000 power. Now here's the thing. With the new series, for the new Royal Paladins, Alfred that's in there is going to be a 13k standard, so this thing's ability is going to be really useful. But moving on. Next up is Ghoul Dragon, Gas Dragon, Hollow ability. I learned one copy of this. Guy. I would pay the now for his GB1 effect. Pay the cost. Take the top 2 cards of the deck, put them in the drop zone. With that ability, and if you're obviously going to hollow this card. When he's hollowed, he's going to basically gain 8,000. He's basically going to be a 19k attacker until end of turn, and then he's going to die at the end of the turn. His drop zone effect. Counterblast 1, choose a grade 2 or greater rear guard. Doesn't matter what it is. Retire it, and then superior call this thing to a rear guard circle. Useful effect. His GB1 skill doesn't have to go. Doesn't require his own. Doesn't require him to be called by his own effect. It's just when he's placed on rear guard and he's hollowed. Next up is Vampire Princess of Starlight Night Rose. I would prefer 3 more copies of this thing because, well, useful card. Hollow ability. It's rear vanguard or rear guard circle. Generation Break 2, like turn 1 ability. Counterblast Soul Blast 1. When another unit is placed on a rear guard circle from drop zone during my turn, pay cost. If cost is paid, choose a grade 1 from the drop zone. Call it to another rear guard circle in the same column as this thing. Now, its stride ability is what you really want. Counterblast 1. Put the top 3 cards of the deck into the drop zone. And superior call whatever you want. Doesn't have, as long as it has, well, with a hollow ability, obviously. And that unit gets 3k. So, pretty much these guys. These 2. Him. These 2. And Gas Dragon. Now, the card that, now, this is the first Night Rose these are the first 4 Night Roses I ever got. This is Vampire Princess of Nightfog Night Rose. Now, this one's effect. Generation Break 2, put the top 3 cards of the deck into the drop zone. When one of your rear guards is put into drop zone, let's say this thing, whenever one of your rear guards is put in the drop zone, pay cost if you do, recall. Now, with how much counterblasting is in this deck, this thing coming back from the drop zone, let's say you have 4 damage, and all 4 are flipped. He dies, you unflip 2. Her ability, drop 3. Revive this thing. Since it's still the end phase of the turn, he would be hollowed. He dies again. You countercharge. Now, here's its stride effect. Counterblast 1 during the turn that you stride on this thing. Choose a card from your hand, put it to drop zone, call a rear guard. Any rear guard with a hollow ability would be smart, but it doesn't have to be. That unit gains 2,000 power. Now, if you notice, this says 2,000, well, this says 3,000. This is the better unit. This is the original one that came out. This, when it first came out, was really good, especially when they made major power plays. Now, until I get Vampire Princess of Starlight Night Rose, this is going to hopefully work. But for now, I'm going back to, right now, Right now, I'm going to go into my G zone. Which, first up, for any Night Rose deck, this G zone will change, and my main deck will change eventually. So, yeah, there's that. First up is Pirate King of the Roseate Twilight. I'm not sure if I pronounced it right. Night Rose. Now, her effect. The act effect. Turn 1, counterblast 1. Choose a face-down copy of her and flip her up. Choose up to the number of cards in your draw zone as you have face-up G units. Plus 1. Meaning, let's say you have 3 face-up. You get a 4th one as well. So, this thing, while you have 3 face-up, you would call 3 rear guards. While this thing is face-up, you call 4 rear guards. So you have 1 on Vanguard, 3 face-up. After flipping a copy of her face-up. So that puts you at 3. Basically, it's like having 4. Oh, and if you call 3 or more, this thing gains a critical trick, a crit. So in other words, this thing will be hitting for 2. It's auto ability, which only happens during the battle phase. I choose 1 rear guard for each copy of a Night Rose in the drop zone. So that's I have 3 Night Roses. That means I'm choosing 3 rear guards to gain 5,000 power. So I have 4. 4 are gaining that power. If I have 5, obviously 5 units are gaining 5,000 power. Really powerful unit, especially if you get her, especially with her effect. I've actually won games with this thing against my friends, but not all of my friends, just some. Any Night Rose player will tell you to get this card, as well as the previous Night Rose that came out. I don't remember offhand what that one's name is. But what I will be, the unit I have in place until I get that Night Rose is Demon Sea Queen Maraid. Her ability: an act, turn 1, counterblast 1, flip up any card in the G zone. Doesn't have to be her, but you obviously want to flip her up. Discard a card from your hand. Superior call a unit up to the number of copies of her you have face up in your G zone. So obviously, turn 1 you want to go into her. Turn 2 you want to go into her because you get the 3 effect off. You get 3 is 3, and for every unit that's resurrected from her effect, she gains their power. So let's say you have all 3 on the field and 1 in your Vanguard circle. The 3 rear guards you revive, all of their power go to her. So let's say you revive 2 units with 9,000 power and 1 unit with 7,000 power. She's gaining an extra 25,000 power. Added to her 26,000 power while on the Vanguard, because she also gains the Vanguard's attack and name. That means, well, let's see, that's about 51 on her own. Not counting any additional abilities that increase power per unit, or triggered, or a booster for that matter. So she was pretty useful. I won games with her a couple times against my friends. Once at my locals for tournaments, but yeah. Next up, which is, I guess you can say, in case my GB8 fails, I'll go get to my GB8 soon, is Tempest Calling Pirate King Grenache. Basically, grade 4 version of the original. Counterblast. Yeah, let's go Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast 1. Yeah, Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast 1. Flip a copy of him face up. Send up to 5 cards from your soul to the drop zone and call the same amount from your drop zone to your rear guard circles. And the units that are called with this effect gain 1,000 power for every face up card in your G zone. So let's say you have 8. No, you know, 9 because of the G guard. So you have 9 face up. Then you get this guy. One becomes 10, and then the Vanguard. For every face up G unit, for every card face up in the G zone, they gain 1,000 power. So you could potentially have up to 15,000 power to all rear guards. Potentially. He's a really useful unit, and I run 2 copies of him. Obviously, I run 4 copies of the other thing, and I do run 16 G units. Next up, which I have 1 copy of, is Eclipse Dragon Hulk Jumbo Dragon. Useful skill. When it's placed on Vanguard, when it's placed in the Vanguard circle for stride, it has no. I basically get the cost. Top 4 cards of the deck to the drop zone. For every normal unit put into the drop zone, he gains 5,000 power. So that's pretty much 20,000 power. So we can go up to 46 on his own. Now, but here's the thing. If 2 of those are grade 0s, you get to call a unit from your drop zone to your rear guard circle. That is a very good ability, which is why I only run 1. But now on to the GB8, which is the more fun unit. Unfading Ship Immortal Galleon. When this card is placed on a rear guard, for having 8 cards, having 7 plus him, having a GB8 skill, he's placed on a Vanguard circle for stride. Resurrect 5 rear guards from your drop zone. Then those 5 rear guards, or up to 5 rear guards, gain 10,000 power. So remember this guy? Call 2 of him onto the field. That's a 26,000 column on their. That's 26,000 on their own. Plus these 2. That's a potential. These 2 go 17. 19,000 power. And just because this either him, either Grenache, or these 2, either one of these 2, 15 to 14. This thing giving 10. This one giving 10,000 power. This thing flipping damage. But yeah, this is really powerful, and this has actually one game. The last tournament I was actually in, I used this on one of my opponents, and they were playing Mega Colony. I was playing granblue. I got to GB8. They were only at GB4. The reason that is a dangerous thing for them to be at GB4 is because they had the Zoa. Basically, the thing that says, "Hey, we basically get your rear guards. One of your rear guards gets 99,000 power." Basically, five nines on a card for power. 99,999 power. If the rear guard hits, doesn't matter if you get a heal trigger or not, you automatically lose the game. Unless you have a perfect guard. And then you just got perfect guard the Vanguard. But on to my last 4 cards, which are my generation guards. Diabolist of Tombs, Negro Mod. Obviously, you guys got a heal trigger. Ability Soul Blast 1 for pretty much this thing. For let's say you have 5 cards in grave or in drop zone. This thing becomes a 20,000 shield. 10 or more. Well, 5 or more makes it a 20. 25 is having 10 or more. Becoming a 30k unit, though, is having 15 or more. And imagine dropping 2 of these things. That's pretty much a 60,000 shield. Unless you're playing a Zoa, unless you're playing against Zoa, that's, I guess it's not really all that bad. Next up is Great Witch Doctor of Banquest, Negro Lily. Yeah, her effect. Counter Boss 1. Retire a rear guard. Superior call a normal ghosty unit. Now, if you're wondering why I'm holding this one up, well, this thing does gain 10,000 power. But remember that little intercept? Remember that little intercept ability that I said this little that Jackie the Ghosty here gets? Yeah, this guy is how that happens. And finally, which was one of the first 4, which was the first Dragon Hulk unit I ever got, and I got 4 copies of it. That cost me $4. Is Eclipse Dragon Hulk, Deep Corpse Dragon. When placed in the Guardian Circle, drop the top 2 cards of the deck into the drop zone. This thing gains 5,000 power. This thing becomes a 20k shield, in other words. So, if you have any ideas about what I should, I plan on getting a second copy of him. Maybe more. I'm not 100% on that, but this thing is fun. I will again once I get the other 4 Nitros. Hang on a sec, sorry. I'm just gonna quickly. I forget what that one is with Nitros is called. So give me a second. Miss Phantom Pirate King Nitros. So yeah, that's the unit I'll be getting. Hopefully I'll get 4 more copies of that thing. If you're wondering, I have an app on my phone, the Card Fight Vanguard card database. Useful thing if you want to make a deck list, but you don't want to write it out. Of course, for tournaments, you kind of have to. I'm at 34 minutes. I haven't done a review in a while, and so far no one's looked at. I do hope to make more of these because I have other decks. This is for my Shadow Paladins. For that one. For Blaster Dark Diablo. Hopefully I will have a lot more decks completed and perfected. I will try for that. if you have any suggestions on how I can improve my Night Rose deck, I'm still going to be using Vampire Princess of Starlight, Night Rose, as my main Vanguard. I do have a second granblue deck. That one is for Cocytus. My wish is for that thing to gain more support, or for Cocytus himself to gain more support. Not that that's going to happen anytime soon. And with the reboot, I'm kind of curious of what they're going to do for him if they decide to make a new art, because they're going to revamp the entire 24 clans, including Gear Chronicle, Link Joker, and basically all the clans that were introduced. They're going to do all of them. Right now, they're just doing the first two clans that they're doing are Royal and Kagero. I forget what they're going to come out with next. One of them is going to be Shadow Pylons eventually. Can't wait for that, because, well, I really like Shadow Pylons, and that was the second deck I built from scratch. My granblues were the first one. So yeah. Please like and subscribe in the comments below. I will be live streaming all of my deck profiles from this point forward, and I will have chat enabled, so please check that out. That will be it. So I'm Walt saying, well, bye.